Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinker podcast.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
This is going to be one of the great gifts to the middle-income people of this country that they've ever gotten for Christmas.
The tax bill just landed on Friday, so a lot of people don't even know what's in it. Maybe you can help us.
Yeah.
What percentage of this tax cut is going to people who make, say, around $200,000, $250,000 a year?
Well, this is really historic. I mean, this is the biggest single change to the tax system in fixing a broken tax code that we've ever had.
What's the answer?
A family of four making $75,000 will get about a $2,000 tax cut, and a family of four making $150,000 will get almost $4,000. Plus, we think as a result of lowering business taxes, wages will go up. So this is a huge opportunity for creating jobs, creating tax cuts for working families.
But do you have any idea what percentage is going to people who make less than $250,000, less than $200,000 a year? Because I understand that there's a huge tax cut going to corporate America, and I understand that every tax bracket is getting a tax cut. But what percentage is going to the middle-income people that President Trump keeps talking about?
Jake, the numbers are very complicated, and different people will present it different ways.
I can't take him. There's something about his affect, you know, the way his, facial features don't change when he lies like that. I mean, he hasn't, if he's talking, that's his tell that he's lying. But it's unbelievable. First of all, we have to say, oh, Atlanta. Oh, Seattle, Tacoma. Oh, Olympia. Oh. So, just so you know, last night, there was all day yesterday, there were thousands of flights canceled because we had some sort of infrastructure failure at Atlanta Hartsfield Airport, the hub for Delta. Thousands and thousands of flights canceled. They said it was some underground fire. We don't know. And then we woke up this morning to find that there was this massive train derailment in the Olympia, Washington area over one of the busiest highways known to man, where we're deciding to run high-speed rail over old tracks. Yeah, old tracks for slow-speed rail. We're now using those and refurbishing those for high-speed rail. And it looks like 83 people were on that train this morning during the rush hour, and 77 of those 83 have been taken to the hospital with injuries. There were 14 cars, 13 of them derailed, and now the latest is several dead. Expect that to increase as the day goes on. Now they're telling us that this, this technology that we have called positive train control, I don't know, I'm becoming an expert in trains now. It's some advanced system that is used to stop a train before certain accidents occur. On this particular ride, which was the very first inaugural ride on this high-speed train that was refurbished, that was using refurbished slow-speed rail tracks, okay, that on the inaugural ride today, that the positive train control advanced system was not on. I don't know. Now, I will tell you here at the conspiracy-minded Randi Rhodes Show, not. We are all thinking the same thing. I mean, you shut down an airport and then you derail 14 cars of an Amtrak train. It just seems fishy to me. It just does. It just seems a little creepy. We'll wait. We'll wait while Alex Jones will not, and Roger Stone will appear saying he was poisoned by polonium. We will wait to see what the official reports are. But you know what? You can't trust your government any longer because they're doing things like banning words from the Centers for Disease Control. I swear to God, this is a sick story. But first we want to do the taxes, okay? We want to do the taxes because this bill fell out on Friday. And, Bob Corker has admitted that he hasn't read the bill yet. But apparently he has talked to his accountant. And so his lack of knowledge about what's in the bill is made up for by the amount of riches that will flow his way, according to his accountant. So now he's a yes. If you thought that jellyfish Rubio was going to be the one that would sink the tax plan for the GOP, here's the most important number when thinking of Rubio. 2020, right. So no way. You know, he said that if you didn't get a $2,000 child tax credit refundable to you, even if you didn't make enough money to pay taxes, that he would be a no. Well, right now you get $1,100 refundable. It went all the way up to a big whopping $1,400 refundable. So he's a yes. Wow. I'm impressed. He's a yes. Then Steve Mnuchin was on, this Meet the Press thing now, where he says, we think lowering corporate tax rates is somehow going to, create jobs. And so that's why we named it the Tax Cut and Job Creation Tax Bill. Nobody agrees with him. Not any economist from across the Great Divide. Nobody agrees that, businesses are going to create more jobs. Everybody agrees that businesses are sitting on trillions of dollars in profits. They had some of their best years ever in the last 9. They have not created more jobs because they're at full employment, and they don't need more jobs unless we see more consumer demand. The way to get consumer demand is to put more money into your pocket and these piddly little chunks of coal that you will get out of this tax bill, which at the same time is going to add $1.46 trillion to the deficit, is a pittance. So the Republicans are, you heard over the weekend, I hope that John McCain is very, very frail and that he has gone back to Arizona and he is not coming back to Washington to vote at least on this tax bill. And now they plan to wheel in Thad Cochran from Mississippi. Oh, yeah, they're going to wheel in Thad Cochran, who appeared disoriented in his last Senate appearance and had to be told how to vote because he's so out of it. And that's pretty much the GOP these days, old, disoriented, and simply doing what they're told to do by their donors. In fact, I think it was Marco Rubio who shared, or one of the senators shared with the paper, the Washington Post or the New York Times or one of the major papers over the weekend, that they are getting phone calls from their donors who said to them, don't expect another nickel out of us unless you pass this tax bill. The donors want it. No one else wants it. The donors want it. So while Mnuchin would not answer the question, what percentage of the benefits will be going to the top 5% or the top 1%, the answer to the question is the top 5% gets 72% of the benefits. The top 1% will get 60% of the benefits. For example, the estate tax, which used to come into play if you chose as a couple to gift your children, meaning that their money, their wealth would come as an inheritance, right? They're very much alive. They've got their whole lives ahead of them, but you want to make sure they never have to work. So now, currently under current law, you can, as a couple, gift your children $11 million without any tax. They don't have to pay a nickel. They can just take this money, $11 million. Now, you should only live so long that you make $11 million. But if you made $11 million, you'd be taxed at 39% right now. If your work created an $11 million payday for you, you'd be taxed at 39%. Yet, if you're a ne'er-do-well, a lucky sperm winner, you can inherit $11 million and owe no tax to the government. Well, that just went up to $22 million. You can literally inherit $22 million and you will only pay zero. You will pay zero. Okay, here's Bernie, who was on Face the Nation, trying to lay out what Steve Mnuchin would not. And, of course, he heard Steve Mnuchin earlier in the day.
Well, I think we did everything that we could. But at the end of the day, what you had is people like Mr. Mnuchin, who himself is worth $300 or $400 million.
Oh, my God. Hello? 300 or 400 million? Oh, that's right. He's the Goldman Sachs boy. Drain the swamp, right? Right? Hillary was pilloried because she gave speeches to Goldman Sachs. But Trump goes out and gets waivers and hires people from Goldman Sachs directly to be our Commerce Secretary and to be our Secretary of the Treasury. And then when his name appeared on the dollar bills, his wife, with the really bad taste, okay, she wear the Birkin bag, the cheapest, I researched it this weekend, and the cheapest Birkin bag that you can buy, the least expensive, ugly suitcase-looking Birkin bag that you can buy was what? What was it, Howard? $15,000? That's the cheapest one you could buy. And then from there, it goes up. Like if it's crocodile, you want your initials on it. Yeah, the price can go all the way up to like $40,000, $50,000. And her Tom Ford leather gloves that she wore in the middle of the day, like some villain in a 007 movie. And the two of them holding the sheets of money, and that doesn't disqualify them from anything to do with our money. Yeah, Steve Mnuchin, $400 to $500 million, and that's what we know about. Anyway, I digress.
The President of the United States, who is worth several $billion, as you mentioned, some 4,000 or 5,000 lobbyists doing everything that they could to write a bill which significantly benefits the wealthiest people in this country and the largest corporations. The latest analysis that we have seen suggests that 72% of the benefits go to the top 5%. My guess is that 60% of the benefits will go to the top 1%. And at the end of the decade, because the benefits for the middle class are temporary, while the corporate benefits are permanent, at the end of the decade, over half of the middle class will be paying more in taxes.
Say, that's a good plan. Oh, and by the way, this bill that dropped on Friday, it doesn't even let our, the unwashed masses tax cuts stay for 10 years. Oh, no, that would have exceeded the $1.5 trillion to the deficit mark and wouldn't have allowed for the Republicans to vote out of regular order, which John McCain said was a no for him if they did out of regular order, by using reconciliation, which lowers the number of senators you need to a measly 50. So it's $1.46 trillion now. And if they would have allowed our measly little tax cuts to stay for 10 long years, then it would have put it over 1.5. So instead of doing something about the very wealthy benefits, no, they went to the bottom and they penalized us. Therefore, our tax cuts will expire in only 8 years instead of 10, while the corporate tax cut from 35% to 21% is permanent.
What we are seeing here is a real massive attack on the middle class. And what I worry very much, John, is that if you listen to what the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, is talking about, what he is saying is that as a result of this bill, the deficit will go up by $1.4 trillion. And what Ryan, in my view, will come back with are massive cuts to Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid in order to offset that deficit.
So what makes him think that Paul Ryan is going to go after, Medicare and Medicaid and what he calls entitlements, which I call earned benefits?
House Speaker Paul Ryan, he's already setting his sights on the next GOP project, entitlement reform. During a radio interview, Ryan placed Medicare and welfare reform at the top of his list. Listen.
Frankly, it's the healthcare entitlements that are the big drivers of our debt. And then welfare reform, too. We think it's important to get people from welfare to work. We have a welfare system that's basically trapping people in poverty and effectively paying people not to work, and we've got to work on that.
Oh, so it's not Bernie imagining. It's actually Paul Ryan saying that the next big project is to take away from you the safety net that exists currently, like subsidies to help you pay for your health care and welfare benefits if you fall on some hard times while you're looking for work. Also Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, dare I say it. Yikes, man. And those are earned benefits. Those are not entitlements, although the GOP says that they are. So they're transferring trillions of dollars from the middle class to the donor class so that the donor class can keep them in power. Wouldn't it be much simpler if we just said this is an oligarchy and just called it a day? Wouldn't it be much simpler? I say yes, it would be simpler. Jesus. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.